Easter pa rin po. We are on the 4th Sunday of Easter. We are celebrating the Good Shepherd Sunday from John chapter 10, 27 to 30. Redefining our relationship with our God. Jesus revolutionized our concept of how we understand our relationship with God. In this gospel, Jesus proposes a relationship of shepherd and his flock. Parang given na sa atin to. Pero nung unang panahon po, hindi ganyan. Kasi in the first earlier years, even before Jesus until now, the first part of understanding God is a distant God. Diba, meron pa tayong song, God is watching us from a distance. But Jesus, introducing a good shepherd image, is from a distant God to an intimate God. As a shepherd who is near his flock. You cannot be a shepherd na remote control. It could not be that way. We hear his voice because he must be close at hand. And that is the intimate God who is near and is with us. Kaya nga po, even in the Psalm prayer before the Gospel, yung Alleluia verse, sabi niya, John chapter 10, I am the good shepherd, says the Lord. I know my sheep and mine know me. That knowledge is not only an intellectual relationship, we know that knowing God is a relationship that is intimate. Yung ikalawa po, yung from a threatening God to a God who protects us. A relationship that protects. Usually, wala nang po masama when you say, I fear God. Sometimes we call that reverential fear. No? Parang takot ka dahil sa respeto mo at sa pagmamahal mo. Hindi naman dahil natatakot ka dahil sasaktan ka. Because our God does not threaten us, does not condemn us, and does not threatens us and condemns us or punishes us. But a God, like a shepherd who keeps his sheep safe from the wolf and from harm. And even this gospel, our short gospel, proclaims, no one can take them out of my hand. Hindi lang po yan, hindi lang from the hand of Jesus the shepherd. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all, and no one can take them out of my Father's hand. The shepherd leader protects and keeps his flock assured, calm, and unharmed. Yun po yung dalawang punto natin sa ating kwentuhan. But if we follow the image of God as shepherd, there's another important revision or some kind of an important redefining of a relationship with God on the part 3, yung tinatawag nating Bible trivia natin. If you are a shepherd, therefore you feed your flock, you bring them to green pastures. And from a God who we feed to a God who feeds us. Of course, a shepherd's immediate concern dapat kakain, dapat mataba kahit hindi nagugutom ang kanyang mga tupa. Almost every ancient religion follows a ritual of offering their deities. No? Holocaust sacrifices are essential and central to the Jewish faith in relationship with their divine. This, in a sense, is meant to worship, to appease, to maybe win a favor, prayer, and to give thanks. It's a custom that ritual obliges for the believers to follow. Do you remember Jesus, the visitation at the temple? They were following the rituals to offer for their first male son. And that earliest offering is also seen in the story in Genesis between Cain and Abel that depicts the beginnings of offering to the Creator. Kaya nga po, in the third part, we will see from the Old Testament how this concept of a God we feed, a God who receives offerings, to a shepherd God who takes good care of ourselves. Very important po dito yung even the gospel that shows us how Jesus fed the 5,000, or he even said, this is my body which will be given up for you, a bread, for us to understand Jesus feeding us with his own. And even as Peter, in the last gospel last Sunday, sabi niya after, Peter, do you love me? And 3 times he also said, feed my sheep, feed my lamb. Ito po yung magiging kwentuhan natin sa Men of Life. We will see joining you for our reflection, kwentuhan for this fourth Sunday of Easter, our Good Shepherd Sunday.
At ito po si Bishop Ambo David mula dito sa Diocese of Caloocan. Ako, ang ganda ng timing ng Good Shepherd Sunday, halalan na po bukas.
Yeah.
Let's pray very hard that we'll be given a good shepherd for our country.
At ito po si Brother Joey Angeles from Angeles City. Kumusta po kayo?
And thank you to Father Jonathan, our director and editor, in helping us to put all these things together. The first part of our reflection would be on seeing a transition of a redefinition of relationship from a distant God to a God who is very intimate. Parang always we hear that song ng seminarista ko, God is watching us from a distance. Na parang remote control lang, malayo lang siya. And even the times of Jesus, God is a very remote God. Parang you don't even dare to call His name. And this image of the Good Shepherd, where He talks about, they recognize my voice. No? It means, una, para marinig ang boses mo, you have to be very close, literally. You have to be near. You have to be at hand. And other than that is that knowing, recognizing the voice. Maano to medyo malalim to kasi di ba pag kilala mo yung tao, marinig mo pa lang, hindi pa nakikita, alam mo na siya. And this is the kind of intimacy that Jesus talks about. And He's also inviting us to be part of this kasi sabi niya, the Father and I are one. Parang as if we are inviting you to be part of this relationship of intimacy with our God.
Yeah, very nice, very beautiful thought, Father Deo. No? I think in many ways, it's what got Jesus into trouble also within Judaism. Because he sounded very intimate with God, even to the point of calling God Father and teaching his disciples to pray to God, our Father. No? And because in the first place, within the Jewish culture, talagang yung reverential fear of God, malakas talaga siya. Hindi ba kaya nga the first commandment, I am the Lord your God, you shall have no strange gods before me. And you cannot take the name of the Lord your God in vain. You don't just mention the name of God. And yung God ng mga Jewish people, may pangalan siya. And His name is Yahweh.
Yahweh.
And according to biblical tradition, itong pangalan na ito ay binigay ni God noong tinanong ni Moses, what will I say to people if they ask what your name is? And then God said, I am. I am who am. Yun yung literal translation ng Yahweh. Kasi siya Hebrew, no? And yung I am who am. Pero yung in the Jewish culture, bawal sabihin Yahweh. And up to now, actually, kapag let's say if you find yourself in Israel, and you go around, you don't say Yahweh everywhere, kasi people will feel very, very offended. Parang sino ka? Kung hindi ba, kahit naman tayo, hindi nga natin mabanggit yung pangalan ng tatay at nanay natin, di ba? Ang pangalan ng tatay ko, Pedro, but never ko siyang tinawag na Pedro, di ba? We call them by a title, Itay, Tatang, gano'n, no? How much more for God? Yung reverential fear kaya yung instead of calling Him Yahweh, they call Him the Lord, Adonai, the Lord.
Yeah, may yung pang sinabi ng Bishop, even the idea of yung another term he use, yung Jehovah.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, yung Yahweh, binigyan nila ng vowel sounds. Kasi ang Hebrew kakaibang klaseng language siya. It's a consonantal language. Imagine kung ang ating kunyari, ang English language, kung wala siyang vowels, walang A, E, I, O, U, puro siya consonant, no? How will you pronounce it? Parang sa kanila, na yon, common sense na lang. You pronounce it from the context. Kunyari, DVD. Isang basa nila, David yan. Parang ganun, no? DVD. They don't need the vowels. Ngayon, ginanyan din nila yung the name of God, Yahweh. wala siyang vowels, pero yung ginawa nila, yung vowel, yung meron silang word for the Lord Adonai, Adonai. Yung sounds, vocalization ng Adonai, pinasok nila dun sa Yahweh. Kaya siya naging Yahovah. Kaya nagkaroon ng Jehovah.
Okay. That's
Abong Deo,
Kay Joey.
now I understand why Jesus used the image of a shepherd. In biblical times pala, there were two kinds of shepherds. The first one was the one yung hinire lang, a hireling. And this person depends on siguro sa job description and the conditions of the employment will join that flock or hop from one flock to another like a person transfers to another company. Pero parang walang masyadong pakialam. I mean, once there are wolves or maybe invaders or thieves that come in, he might be the first one to run or hide and leave the flock alone to these thieves and wolves. However, there's a second one pala, yung parang he is also the owner, shepherd owner, who grows up with the flock and stays with the same flock practically all his life. So that means he's close. That means he knows his individually. He knows all the sheep there. Maybe even calls them by name. Maybe he even pays personal attention to each and every sheep. Alam niya siguro yung mabagal maglakad, yung the sheep that will lag behind, or maybe like if the sheep is pregnant, he will need that sheep will need special care or special food, etc. It's more personal. They're up close.
Yeah.
That's why maybe he differentiates the good shepherd from the other shepherd, the not so good shepherd.
Parang if we translate this, Brother Joey and Bishop Ambo, to our relationship with our God, it could be possible that we are learned about our scriptures, we are learned about our liturgy, pwedeng mapagsimba tayo sa simbahan, pwedeng you have a function, you can be an altar boy, an usher, a lector, an commentator, marami tayong functions saka mandated organizations. But if we don't have that personal relationship with our God, parang a personal experience that God is close to us, a God who touch our lives, a God who is there to pray to. We're missing the point. Ito yung na-realize ko, Bishop Pambo, dun sa synodality. Mga Catholics before, they were very active, they were altar boys, they were playing here in our camp, in our dito sa simbahan, dito sa may patio. They grew up literally dito, but there's something lacking. That even us Catholics sometimes would oversee because we're too busy with our details of our maybe rituals and liturgy, how to do it right, but how to do it well, but the technicality of it. But the essential part of our faith, our Christian faith, is about knowing.
Yes. Actually, Father Deo, itong last sentence ng gospel is beautiful. I think it sums up pretty well your point. The Father and I are one. Sabi niya, that intimacy that you are talking about.
Sa Men of Light, kasama niyo pa rin po si Bishop Ambo David of Caloocan, si Brother Joey Angeles of Angeles City, and po si Father Deo of Holy Cross Parish. Actually, this Sunday, fiesta ho namin dito sa Holy Cross. Second Sunday of May. Medyo unique po yung aming fiesta, pero yun po fiesta namin. And for this second part, we see a very typical experience. Hanggang ngayon, mayroon pang remnants to yung mag-ingat ka, magagalit ang Diyos sa'yo. You better watch out. You better be careful kasi you'll be punished. Maybe at one side, that's still part of our consciousness. Pero Jesus in the gospel of the Good Shepherd today, He transformed our relationship from a threatening God to a God who protects us. Hindi lang neutral God, hindi lang a neutral God. parang wala akong kinakapunin. He's there to protect. A God who does not threatens or condemns or punishes. A good shepherd who will always keep flock. Even, meron pa pong expression ng gospel dito, yung the lost sheep. Hahanap at hahanapin ka. Meron ding expression that he will even fight the wolves to protect. And even, meron pang isa yung he will be the gate, he will be like a gate keeper. Parang dadaan ka muna sa kanya. At the image of cave, tinatago niya sa isang kuweba. And then the shepherd will sleep at the mouth of the cave. Parang dadaan muna over my dead body if you want to threaten my sheep. Ganito po kalakas itong image ni Jesus about a very different image of a God who protects us, who shields us from any harm.
Yeah. Father Deo, actually, yung, this second point reminds me of that favorite text in the Gospel of John. Hindi ba yung John 3:16, yung for God so loved the world, He gave us His only Son. Tapos, may kasunod pa siya. Verse 17, it says, God did not send His Son to the world to condemn the world, but to save it. Meaning, it's not the business of God to condemn or to punish. Siguro, even the concept of punishment has to be, restated. Kasi, when you come to think of it, when we separate from God, we're actually punishing ourselves. Parang, hindi ka makailangan parusaan ng Diyos. Sarili mo, pinarusaan mo because you are distancing yourself from the God of life. Ngayon, ito, I think it is Jesus who very articulately verbalized the idea of a saving God. It's very consistent with His name. Kasi the word Jesus, Yeshua, means the saving God. God saves. God saves. Meaning it is the nature of God to save and not to condemn.
Father Dan, I regarding what you mentioned earlier about the good shepherd who is willing to lay down his life for his flock. No? It was only until recently I found out where that expression "laying down one's life" comes from, and you kind of mentioned it when not sometimes it's a cave, sometimes it's in an open field. The shepherd puts up a fence and one opening in and out. So at night pala, hihiga talaga siya. Hihiga siya sa labas sa opening. The sheep, sensing that their shepherd is there, won't go out. It's a way of protecting them from going out. And at the same time, the wolves pala, because they can smell, they can sense that there is a person there. So they won't dare come in and gobble up the sheep. It's literal pala, laying down one's life, which basically is adopted by Jesus, no? Para sa kanya.
Kaya, Joey, di ba may expression tayo, over my dead body.
Yes, yes.
Tatad ka muna sa akin. Mamamatay muna ako bago ka makakapunta sa kanila. And I appreciate even Bishop, kahit wala sa gospel natin, yung staff, yung tungkod.
Yeah.
Di ba yung tungkod ng shepherds? Usually tungkod ginagamit ng matatanda mga nahihirapan maglakad. Pero feeling ko yung tungkod, ngayon kasi parang is a sign of authority. Pero actually, literally, no? It is a sign to ward off wild animals like a wolf or maybe a snake to protect the sheep.
Nakakatuwa, no? Parang sayang ginamit siya na parang pang-threaten doon sa sheep mismo.
Hindi pang palo.
A shepherd never uses the staff against his sheep. It's only against the intruders, the wolves, no? Yeah.
Bishop, don't you call that a crook?
Yes, a crook. That's true, yeah.
And instead of harming his own sheep, pag merong lumalabas, kinukukunin niya by the head. And then
That's right.
pull the sheep in. Parang, wag ka lumayo. Parang ganon.
Yeah. Di ba, ewan ko kung nakita nyo na yung a beautiful poster of the Good Shepherd. Tapos hinahanap niya yung lost sheep niya. Tapos yung lost sheep pala nahulog sa bangin. Tapos the poor sheep, nakasabit pa siya doon sa gilid ng bangin. And then there is action, hindi ba? Yung the shepherd is stooping like that, and then he's extending his crook, and then pulling up yung kanyang sheep na yung lost sheep. It's beautiful, di ba? Parang that is pala the function of that crook, that staff. Parang sayang when we change its function by thinking na parang panghambalos niya ito sa mga pasaway na mga
Later on, it is a sign of authority, di ba? Authority. Bishop, yung sa an important psalm in Psalm 23, as early as the Old Testament, it already suggests that relationship. Actually, this idea of protecting and being close and being there to safeguard the sheep. Hindi lang po kay Jesus even as early as Psalm 23, sabi, though I walk in the valley of darkness, I fear no evil, for you are with me. And that Yeshua na sinasabi ni Jesus, ni Bishop, the saving God, God who would always take good care of us.
Yeah, parang yun yung the sign that the Lord is our shepherd. We are calm. If we are calm, if we are at peace, if we live in tranquility, then that means the Lord is shepherding us. I shall not want. Parang ganon. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Yeah.
Meron po isang speaker noon, sabi niya, a good leader, like a leader in a tribe in the midst of the wild forest, no? Nung wala pang civilization na mga protection na physical. He protects his tribe. He keeps his people safe from the wild animals, yet from the attacks, of other tribes, or even from the rough movements of nature. Ulan na malakas o bagyo. His tribe always feel that they could sleep well, and his people will thrive, that they will flourish. Like ngayon po, mayroon tayong election bukas. Sabi nga ni Bishop, we pray for honest and peaceful elections tomorrow in all levels, from the national to the locals. At the same time, let us seek leaders, good shepherd images of somebody who would always protect us, not threaten us. Parang ganun, always would assure us of our safe grounds. They are leading us. Masa national dan po, nasa local o provincial. And that is our maybe contribution, is just saktong-sakto. Yung third part po ng ating reflection, tinatawag nating Bible trivia, actually sa follow-through of this discussion of a God we feed, a God we offer something sa libation or sacrifice, holocaust, to a God who feeds us, a God who nourishes, like a shepherd. Ito po magiging reflection natin sa ikatlong parte ng ating reflection sa Men of Life.